The world doesn't work that way. If you're a sales coach or if you're a sales manager, that's like saying just stay by the phones.
What do you think is the outcome of a debate?
But the outcome of a debate.
Forget Dave Smith. This isn't a Dave Smith conversation. That could have been John Doe. I'm not talking.
But the point is that I'm trying to make
was the purpose of a debate?
We're not aligned.
What is the purpose of a debate?
To find the truth.
The purpose. It's a clash of ideas.
Sure.
So somebody can watch and say, "Wow, good point. Never thought about it that way. Let me go back and look at it." Right? That is the purpose of a debate.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Grab a seat because this one is spicy. Today we're stepping inside the value attainment table where Patrick Bet David puts one of his own guys, Adam, directly under the spotlight over his recent clash with libertarian Dave Smith. What starts as a feedback session turns into something way bigger. Vinny jumps in with an analogy that absolutely dismantles Dave's whole worldview, and the room doesn't hold back on where they really stand. Stick with me all the way through, because the best line of the entire exchange comes later, and you do not want to miss how it lands. And before we get rolling, drop a comment and let me know what city or country you're watching from right now. I genuinely love seeing where you all tune in from. All right, enough from me. Let's get into it.
I'm asking you. The argument is one end, because I don't know if you focused on making I've seen you make better arguments with Bassem Youssef than you did with Dave Smith. I didn't see you making arguments on Dave Smith. And the reason why I'm doing this with you openly, and I'm talking to you openly with you, is there's an element of also representing where you're coming from, where the expectation is, hey, when you go and be professionals, that's not how I handle debates. I don't handle debates that way. That's not my MO. So if you're close to me and you're handling it that way, that is not my style. I don't do stuff like that. And Dave and I don't even agree on some of these issues. But if I'm having a conversation, it's about what is this next phase. And by the way, the reason why I'm having this direct feedback with you publicly is for the following reason. This is how I roll, Adam. I will give you private feedback and have your back 100%. I've always been like that. This is why my guys like working with me, and they know how tough it is at times because I'm always challenging them. But if my private feedback that I'm giving doesn't land, and it feels like you have immunity to go run around and say whatever you want and keep saying, I don't give a shit what people say, I do. There's an approach to take about this game. I don't care that we have differences in debates. We push each other here and we have arguments and, comment, I side with Vinny today. You know what? Today, actually, I side with Adam. There was a couple moments where you had a couple clips of like, they sided with you. I think Adam's the point today. And I'm like, oh, okay, Adam had a point. And then, hey, Tom, no, I'm siding with Tom today. Pat, you were off today. No problem. But it's recreating for the next phase of what is that next phase for you. And that's a very important thing for you to be thinking about. I've had that conversation with him, recreating himself. I've had the conversation with him, recreating himself. I have the conversation openly with me on what I need to recreate. But for me, when I saw that, I'm like, you brought up another guy from the past that beat Dave. Great. You brought up, no, there needs to be the Adam that I've seen debate that is prepared. He actually would have made some real good points there. And you, by the way, you've been a moderator for Zero Hedge with Dave Smith and what do you call it, Laura Loomer, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what you did?
Yeah,
Didn't you moderate? Yeah.
Yes.
And I was a pretty good job you did as a moderator. So I don't know. I'm saying this publicly to say this next phase requires all of us to recreate ourselves, and that includes you in a big way. And I've said this privately 8 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago at that dinner place we went to, and I was very direct with you. But you're cornering me to have to say this publicly to you right now. And you have to make a decision on what you want to do with this next phase. You got to recreate yourself.
Sure.
It's a very important thing.
You want to know what real leadership actually looks like? This is it. Because the easy move for Patrick here would be to pat Adam on the back, tell him he crushed it, and move on. Nobody enjoys confrontation. Patrick does the opposite, and that's exactly the part I respect. When Patrick says this, I've seen you make better arguments with Bassem Youssef than you did with Dave Smith. That is not an insult. That is a man telling his own guy, I know what you're capable of, and that wasn't it. You only talk to someone like that when you genuinely believe in them. And here's what people on the outside completely miss. They think loyalty means never holding your people accountable. It's the reverse. Patrick literally says this. This is how I roll, Adam. I will give you private feedback and have your back 100%. Sit with that for a second. He is not throwing Adam to the wolves to score points with a crowd. He gave the feedback privately first. He's only saying it out loud now because the message didn't land the first time around. That's the gap between a leader and a cheerleader. A cheerleader tells you what you want to hear. A leader tells you what you need to hear, even when it stings, even with the cameras rolling. And the line that hit me hardest is when Patrick says this next phase requires all of us to recreate ourselves. Notice he puts himself in that sentence. He's not standing on a pedestal acting untouchable. He's saying the standard applies to everyone in that room, top to bottom. That is why people run through walls for this guy. You do not earn that kind of buy-in by being soft.
I'm being very respectful to you, and you had no idea that I'm going to go here this morning. You had no clue I'm going. And by the way, I intentionally changed today's business podcast to do this because obviously Monday I couldn't be here. We had certain things that was going on. This weekend I had, what do you call it?
SLS.
SLS. Sean Hannity did it last Friday, so I changed everything, and Rob and I, we had to talk about it yesterday and calendar to do it this way. But for me, sometimes, you know, when people say, I don't care, 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 and sometimes this is like the Trump effect. Well, Trump doesn't care. Well, Trump doesn't give a shit. Well, Trump doesn't do this. Well, contrary to popular belief, Trump looks at every poll. Trump listens to every comment. Trump listens to every criticism. So what you think that Trump does, I'm not telling you go read the comments the next day and go through all chat. I don't recommend that at all. But I do believe a little bit of criticism to see, well, maybe there's a little bit of credibility there. There's a little bit of value there for me to receive. How can I receive this and recreate myself? Because if you're not too careful, Adam, and I'll open it up to you guys if you want to say anything. I'll give you the final thoughts, and then I want to get on the next story, but I wanted to open up with us, get right into it, is the following. There is no April Fool's jokes today. I don't have one. Okay, so if you guys are expecting an April Fool's joke, I don't have one. This is not an April Fool's joke. I know what day today is. This is not, you know, I've had certain friends of mine that are very good at, I used to be very good at the April Fool's stuff. I don't have one today. Maybe I'll have one for you next year when I'm in a different mood. But this is the part I want you to be thinking about. Is the market is going to criticize you. There's a very big difference between the bots. I read a comment yesterday, made the most disrespectful comment to me. And the first thing I did, I went to the account. It got started in February of 2026.
Weird.
It has 2 followers, follows 6,000 accounts. That's a bot of somebody that created to say it. Forget about the bots. There are some people that are giving real feedback that we have to pay close attention to because, you know, we can disagree. You know, even with the Dave Smith part, Dave Smith's issues, we can sit down and have a debate over the number, and I can still do it respectfully. You know, even when I went to Jubilee, they disrespected me. I didn't disrespect the kids when I spoke to them. Our position has to be a different position, and even when Trump calls out, he still is very paying attention to the likability score that he has. Love him or hate him, people like him. I'll pause. Vinny, any thoughts you had?
Here's the part that blows my mind, and it's something almost nobody online actually does. Patrick draws a hard line between noise and signal. He pulls up an account that trashed him, sees it was made weeks ago with 2 followers following 6,000 people, and goes, that's a bot. But his takeaway isn't to ignore everyone. His takeaway is the mature one. Patrick says this, there are some people that are given real feedback that we have to pay close attention to. You have to understand how rare that mindset is right now. Everybody wants to live in a sealed bubble where every critic is a hater and every bit of pushback is an attack. Patrick is basically saying, grow up. Some of it is garbage, sure, but some of it is gold, and your job is to tell the difference. And then he goes further. Patrick says this, I do believe a little bit of criticism, maybe there's a little bit of credibility there, a little bit of value for me to receive. Think about how secure you have to be to say that out loud on camera as the in charge. He's not fragile. He's not pretending to be flawless. He's modeling the exact behavior he wants from his team. But the moment that shows you his real character is the Jubilee story. Patrick says this, even when I went to Jubilee, they disrespected me. I didn't disrespect the kids. That right there is the entire philosophy in one breath. You can hold your ground, you can defend everything you believe, and you can still take the high road. Someone disrespecting you does not hand you a license to fire it back. Strength with class. Very few people can actually live in that lane, and it's the precise standard he's demanding from everyone around him.
Of course, absolutely.
So I'll just break this down real quick. We didn't have this discussion prior. You just kind of preemptively brought this up, and I'm totally okay with it. If I wanted to have a ideological debate with Dave, I would probably rephrase it that the world is a dangerous place, and he wants to pretend that he's an ostrich and not engage with anybody. So, to use an analogy, if this guy was a dating coach, he would say, just sit at home all day and wait for women to knock on your door. And that's when you can respond to women. The world doesn't work that way. If you're a sales coach or if you're a sales manager, that's like saying, just stay by the phones.
What do you think's the outcome of a debate?
But the outcome of a debate.
Forget Dave Smith. This isn't a Dave Smith conversation. That could have been John Doe. I'm not talking.
But the point is that I'm trying
what
to
is
make
the
with
purpose of a
ideologically,
debate?
we're not aligned.
What is the purpose of a debate?
To find the truth.
The purpose, it's a clash of ideas.
Sure.
So somebody can watch and say, wow, good point. Never thought about it that way. Let me go back and look at it, right? That is the purpose of a debate. The purpose of a debate is for me to look at something when, like the moment where Hillary Clinton and Trump are going at it, and Hillary says, him and all he didn't pay any taxes and he didn't do this and he didn't do that. And then the moderator asks Trump a question and says, is it true that you paid this? He says, yes. I will use every single tax code that you have, just like all her donors do. And by the way, you've been there for 36 years. How come you've never changed it? So me as the voter sits there and says, that's a very good point. Huh. You've been there for 30, that's the debate. It gets people thinking.
Sure.
So if I'm going into a debate and I didn't make anybody think, what was the purpose of debate?
Sure. Well, now, fair point. Well, the point that I was trying to make is that ideologically we're not aligned here. I'm supporting Trump. Was I supporting Trump 5, 10 years ago?
No, you were not.
So I'm all behind Trump. Everybody
Right.
wants to criticize Trump right now. The thing that I'm basically establishing is the fact that this guy has a luxury of living in America and wants to criticize the heck out of Trump when I'm defending Trump and our troops. The point that I was saying is I'm defending Trump. Dave's the type of person that'll root for the bad guy in the bad movie. So that's who Dave is. Aside from that, other than that, I understand what you're talking about. The reason that I brought up the Coleman Hughes, and I encourage people to go watch it. This was the sort of like the swan song event. Imagine you hype up this event. Here's what's going on. The SLS is coming this weekend.
Yeah.
Here's what's going on. And this debate takes place, and it was a 12-0 drubbing. So that's my point. Should I have conveyed it a little bit better? Sure. Should I have not brought up someone else's debate in my debate? Maybe I'll learn that for the next time. That's fine. But the reality is this. He got whooped, and I called him out on it. That's all.
And here is where it all snaps into focus, because Vinny does something genuinely brilliant. He doesn't scream. He reaches for the perfect picture. Vinny says this: the world is a dangerous place, and he wants to pretend that he's an ostrich and not engage with anybody. In one sentence, he exposes the whole crack in the isolationist mindset. You can bury your head as long as you like, but the danger doesn't vanish. It just gets closer while you're not looking. Then Vinny lands the knockout image. Vinny says this: if this guy was a dating coach, he would say, just sit at home all day and wait for women to knock on your door. I actually laughed because it's too accurate. The whole pullback from everything worldview sounds noble until you realize it's just passivity wearing a costume made of principle. The world has never once rewarded the person who only waits. And let me hand you a real example, because this isn't a theory. In the years before the Second World War, there was a massive, loud movement insisting the smartest thing a country could do was stay out of everything, look inward, and let the chaos overseas burn itself out. We all know exactly how that aged. Pretending the storm isn't coming has never made a single storm turn around. Engagement was never aggression. Engagement was survival. That's why Adam's line cuts so deep. Adam says this: Dave's the type of person that will root for the bad guy in the bad movie. And whether you cheer it or hate it, you understand exactly what he means the instant it leaves his mouth. There's a certain personality that gets so hooked on being the contrarian that they'll defend the indefensible just to feel clever in the room. And then Adam closes it out with total conviction. Adam says this: he got whooped and I called him out on it. No hedging, no apology tour, just owning the take. That is the energy people are starving for. You don't win by being the loudest voice in the van. You win by being right and refusing to flinch. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.